Welcome to the Meditation Realm, Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide through these blind eternities. And in today's video, we're going to be going over one of the Masters Commander decks. We're going to be looking over the Enduring Enchantress. Check out Enduring Enchantments, I should say. Check out the sweet cards in here. A lot of enchantresses and enchantments that are pretty powerful. See what sweet card we can get in our collector sample booster here. The other, as usual, amenities, couple punch-out 1/1 counters. That other backside magic insert. The generously called deck box for your commander deck. The spin down life wheel. And then the collector pack. I don't know anybody who actually uses these unless you're a literal first time player. But, you know, we do have a few of those. And it's good to give them something to be able to start off with. You would think that at this point, Wizards would include just a single dice in the commander decks. Like, why can't you give players like one D20 or like 6-sided die? I don't get it. Alright, we have the face of the commander deck. We got Onyxia, Hand of Erebos. It costs 2, a white, a black, and a green. It's a legendary enchantment creature, a demigod, 4/4 with menace. Other enchantment creatures you control have menace, and whenever Onyxia enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to one target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black zombie creature in addition to its other types. Nice. So you basically get able to reanimate your enchantments and turn them into creatures. Can definitely make some games go pretty brutal. Kind of reminds me of the Abzan god from Baldur's Gate. Why am I blanking on his name? Anyways, definitely a perfect fit with each other. See them getting played. And then we have the other side of the deck. This one's more based on sagas. We have Narcy, the Fable Singer, one a black or white, black, and green. It's a legendary human bard, lifelink. Whenever you sack an enchantment, draw a card. And whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control resolves, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, or access that saga's mana value. So basically, your end chapter resolves off of a saga, you draw a card, and then each opponent loses life equal to its mana value with her triggers. Definitely seems like a strong throw into the Tom Bombadil deck. I don't know if you build around her versus just Tom Bombadil. Alright, and then a few of the OG reprints here. Good old Path to Exile, should always see play. Extinguish All Hope is an interesting board wipe. It's definitely kind of one-sided with this deck. You can hit all your opponent's stuff, so strong in this instance. Otherwise, you know, being a 6-mana board wipe is generally pretty weak. But in this deck, it's definitely very strong. Good old Soul Ring and Arcane Signet. They've become, you know, aligned with Commander. You can't play a deck really without them. Good old Eldest Reborn, one of my favorite sagas here. I always play that in a lot of black decks. Farseek's a green card I've ramped with in a lot of decks. If you're not playing mono green, you should be playing Farseek. Just saying. Rampant Growth. Some good amount of ramp in this deck. Binding of the Old Gods is another saga I'm pretty fond of playing in Commander. Destroy a permanent, search for a land. Does a lot of work. Alright. We got a few lands. Oh, only a couple lands. Alright, so we got the first rare here. We've got our saga. Battle at the Hell Vault. For each player, exile up to one target non-saga, non-land permanent that player controls until the Battle at the Hell Vault leaves the battlefield. And then, you do that twice. And then the final chapter is create Avacyn, a legendary 8/8 white angel creature token with flying, vigilance, and indestructible. So you get to create an Avacyn token after... So you spend 2 turns exiling one permanent for everybody, and then final chapter resolves, you get an Avacyn, all those permanents come back in. Oh no, I mean, the end step, yeah, you get 8/8 Avacyn, but that can be a lot of, you know, depending on what the state is, you know, returning those permanents back to your opponents might not be the best. Finding some way to abuse this might be better? I don't know. We'll see. It could see play. Boon of the Spirit Realm. It's an enchantment for 3 and 2 white with Constellation. Whenever Boon of the Spirit Realm or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a blessing counter on it. And creatures you control get +1/+1 for each blessing counter on Boon of the Spirit Realm. I can definitely see this doing a lot of work in this deck. It's not just a one-and-done Anthem. It comes in, it does something for itself, it puts a counter on it, so your team immediately gets +1/+1. And then everything else starts to stack. There's a lot of enchantment creatures. So, yeah, I can definitely see this doing a lot of work. And it counts as just any enchantment entering the battlefield, so definitely going to be a big buff to your team. We have Ondu Spirit Dancer for our next card. It's a core cleric for 4 and a white. It's a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do this only once each turn. Well, it's strong. It's limited only once each turn, but still very strong. And we have Cacophony Unleashed. It's an enchantment for 5 and 2 black. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, destroy all non-enchantment creatures. So we got another one-sided board wipe. And whenever Cacophony Unleashed or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, until end of turn, Cacophony Unleashed becomes a legendary 6/6 Nightmare God creature with Menace and Death Touch. It's still an enchantment. Nice! So you basically come in, you destroy the board, this animates itself, or other enchantments animate it, and then it can swing. So if you have something that gives haste on the board right away, for 7 mana, this can come in, blow up the board, and then all of a sudden being able to swing with Menace and Death Touch if you have a haste source. Otherwise, just next turn, after you've blown up the board, play an enchantment, and this can swing. This is a very strong new card. This is going to see a lot of play in enchantment-based decks. I really like this one. We have Demon of Fate's Design. It's a enchantment creature demon for 4 and 2 black. It's a 6/6 flying trample. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. And 2 and a black, sacrifice another enchantment. Demon of Fate's Design gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrificed enchantment's mana value. Interesting. So, you can cheat in some big enchantment by paying a bunch of life and then sack it to the demon to be able to do some extra damage. I can see this definitely play. Just the fact that you can cheat in enchantments by paying life. There's so much life gain in these enchantment decks anyways that this seems super abusable. Definitely going to do a lot of work. Ghoulish Impetus, one of the Impetus cycle. Aura for 2 and a black. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has Death Touch, and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature dies, return Ghoulish Impetus to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Ooh, I really like this. So this can really just sit on the board forever. Wow, I like this. This is really strong. Super strong. Composer of Spring. We have a Bard for 1 and a green. He's a 1/3 Satyr Bard. With Constellation, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 6 or more enchantments, instead you may put a creature or land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Holy guacamole, this guy is amazingly strong. That is, wow, like enchantment decks, this is amazing. This just allows you to quickly cheat in other enchantment creatures and your lands. This guy is going to be an expensive card. I could definitely see this being an expensive card. This is super strong. Really big fan of that. And then we got Nyxborn Behemoth. I believe we're back to reprints. Yeah, pretty sure Behemoth's a reprint. All right, Arcana Sun's Grace. Good old Felidar Retreat. Yeah, some powerful cards there, though. Definitely some strong ones in this new set. Grasp of Fate, great reprint. Hits a lot of permanents. Heliod, God of the Sun. Mesa Enchantress. Gotta have the Enchantresses for these decks, otherwise it just doesn't work out as well. Starfield Mystic. Starfield of Nyx. Cunning Rhetoric. Yeah, I haven't been a big fan of Cunning Rhetoric in the decks I've tried playing it in. It just doesn't do the work that I want it to. Doomwake Giant definitely does do work, though. That guy can wipe out boards pretty quickly. Erebos the Bleak-Hearted. Abundance. Arasta. Courser. Dryad, that's a really good reprint. I believe it was like $20 before getting reprinted here, so that's a good one. Eidolon of the Blossoms. Not very expensive, but always great for the Enchantresses decks. So many strong Enchantress cards here. Sanctum Weaver, another great one. The fact that it's a mana ramper and an enchantment is just super strong. Zetessan Champion, another staple for those Enchantresses decks. This deck definitely has a lot of the core build arounds. You may need to get a few replacements for it, but other than that, some sweet additions. We got good old Calyx, Destiny's Hand. And I believe he has an enchantment creature version that came out in the Martian Machine Aftermath. Because he got de-sparked. Sithis, this is a good commander. I actually play this as my Enchantress deck commander. And then we're on to the lands. You know, it's been kind of hit and miss on some of the lands for these sets. You know, some of these give us some really good ones. Other times it's like, you know, pretty underwhelming. I mean, for being an expensive commander set, I mean, like the land-wise here especially, they gave us a couple tainted lands, which only cares if you have swamps, and you only have 5 swamps in the deck. No, like, check land or anything. You know, any land that's worth over 90 cents. All these lands are worth less than $1. Again, you know, for being a premium product, I wish Wizards would have kind of put a little more effort into the premiumness of it. I know that's been kind of a felt sentiment in the community as well. But, you know, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Let's see if the cookie can crumble well for our bonus card here, Planeswalkers. What do we got? We have a Maelstrom Wanderer in his showcase art. That portrait frame. Definitely a sweet commander. A lot of people love playing him. And then we got a Myriad Landscape for our foil common. Beautiful card. Definitely a beautiful art. Man. Some great art on some cards. This does see play. A lot of commander play. Definitely recommend playing it, especially if you play a colorless deck. You know, even certain 2-color decks. Thank you for joining me, Planeswalkers. I'm always happy to have you here. Like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you here on the next video.